My scene planning questions are not overkill. They're just enough kill. Hey everybody, welcome back to Fiction Technician. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jane Kalmes. I am a writer of historical cozy mysteries, and today I am sharing the latest entry in my and author Brittany Wang's series on how to write a book in Scrivener. So Scrivener, to me, is the perfect program for writing a book, and that's because it has so many great organizational tools. And I feel like Brittany and I are kind of on a mission to prove this to you. We have been doing a whole series on how to plot in Scrivener, how to design characters in Scrivener. Today, Brittany is talking about how to do world building in Scrivener, and I am sharing my scene planning questions. So we also have downloads for you. Be sure to scroll down to the bottom, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get access to my free writer resources. Also, don't miss Brittany's video, and she's going to have lots of downloads for you as well. I am sharing my Scrivener template today, and I am also sharing a PDF of the screen planning questions that you could open up in GoodNotes or Procreate or whatever you might enjoy using for digital bullet journaling. So let's take a look at how to create custom metadata in Scrivener, and then we'll take a look at the questions one by one and see how they help me build dynamic scenes. All right, so I have a Scrivener file open here, and we're just in one of the documents for a scene that hasn't been written yet. So we're gonna look off on the right-hand side of the screen, and this window here is called the inspector. Okay, and if you don't see it on your screen, you can just hit this little blue eye up in the corner of the screen and it will appear. And the inspector has a lot of different panes. It has 5 different panes, and they're all accessed by these icons at the top. This first one is for your synopsis and notes. The second one is for bookmarks, and the third one is what we're going to get deep into today. So this is for your metadata. All right, what is metadata? It is just data about this file. So we can see up at the top here we have some metadata that is generated automatically. The date the file was created, the last date it was modified, etc. But what we're interested in here is the custom metadata. So let's open this up a little bit so we can see it all. All right, these are questions that I have added to my Scrivener template myself. They didn't come baked into the program like the general metadata up at the top. They are of my own making, and they are very easy to create. All you would do if you want another scene planning question or any other kind of data about your scene is you would just click on this little gear icon here, and that will open up the custom metadata window here. And to add one, we would just scroll down to where we want it. Maybe we want it at the end, and we click plus, and then we add new question, hit OK, and you can see that when we're back in our document, that new question is right there ready for us to fill it in. Every field you add to custom metadata is going to be propagated across all of the documents within your Scrivener project. So we can pop up to the document above the one we're working in, and we can see that already all of our questions are there for us, even the new one that we just added. And then we can create a new document. And again, all of our questions will be there ready for us to plan our scenes. All right, so right up at the top, we have what does the character want and does she get it? Okay, these two are a match set. Characters always need to have desires, even if they are kind of a small character in a scene with other big movers and shakers. They probably have some desire they're striving towards. And does she get what she wants is important because there are only a couple of answers to this that I will consider, and those are yes, but, and no, and furthermore. Okay, so this is all about consequences for my character's decisions. This is a little trick I picked up from Carolyn Wheat's book, How to Write Killer Fiction. And the basic idea is that if the answer to does the character get what she wants is simply no, well, then that is a scene in which basically nothing has changed. The character tried to get something, but nothing happened. We might have simply skipped this scene or summarized it. And if the answer is to does the character get what she wants is yes, well, that's fine. That does move the plot forward, but too many yeses can make the plot feel sort of simple and like your characters never really took risks or made decisions that had consequences. But yes but and no and furthermore keep lobbing unexpected consequences at your characters and forcing their situation to evolve in every scene. So I did a whole video on this. I kind of went through the whole plot of Toy Story and talked about the way that Woody's situation evolves in every scene because of these yes buts and no and furthermore. So I will link that up in the description below. But for right now, I just know that this is the single top query that I put to myself when I'm writing a scene. This is the thing that kind of gives every scene a bit of charge and makes sure that it is consequential and meaningful. Our next question is, if dialogue, accompanied by what activity? And this is another question that has really upped my scene writing game. Okay, this is partially about talking head avoidance. I don't want to write scenes in which some dude is talking to some other dude and we don't really see them, we just kind of hear their voices. But it's more than that. So characters need ways to express their emotions that are sort of natural and organic to the scene, and that's very difficult if they don't have anything to do. So I think in my first book, which you will never see, in that book I had a lot of characters kind of snarling a lot and glaring, and maybe if they were really mad, maybe they'd pick up a book that was lying around and they'd slam it down on the table. And that was very unnatural, and it was really kind of a clue to the fact that I had not given my characters enough to do in their scenes. So it takes everything to a whole other level if you try to pair any dialogue scene with an activity. Maybe the characters are playing tennis. Maybe they are developing photographs. Maybe they are eating a meal that one of the scene partners has prepared, and neither of them wants to admit that it is really not good. So all of these things allow our characters to they allow great opportunities for humor. They allow great opportunities for the tension between the characters to escalate without it having to be spelled out in the dialogue. So when you're trying to plan activities for your characters to do, you can think about activities that allow them to compete or express their aggression towards each other, like tennis. You can also think about activities that impose kind of a time clock, like I talked about. You could have your characters developing photographs. Well, what are those photographs going to show, and what's going to happen when the characters see them? That could really change the way the scene goes. So this is a really fun question that I try to answer for every dialogue scene. Our next blank is to keep in mind. So this is basically a catch-all for other things that I haven't created a question to specifically address, but that I do want to pay attention to when I sit down to write this scene. So things that I would note here are character introductions. If this scene is the first for any character, I want to be sure to note it in my planning step so that when I sit down to write it, I will be sure to write a good debut for that character that helps readers kind of latch on to who they are. I did a video about how to write character introductions a couple of weeks back where I talked about how the best character introduction of all time is Hagrid from Harry Potter. So I will link that in the description. But other things I would put here are any symbols that I want to come up, maybe any items that I want the characters to exchange. It might be useful to note that. And since I am a mystery writer, which clues get dropped? I recently added a couple of new entries to my scene planning metadata. So let's just take a look again at how that happened. I just click this gear at the top of custom metadata, scroll down to where I want it. I think I want it right above final note, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I just click the plus. And I've added strategies for scene partner A and strategies for scene partner B. Okay, this is another trick that has helped me so much. There are a lot of times where I'll have scenes between two characters and they have conflicting goals, and I don't really want either of them to totally dominate the other. I want them both to kind of be giving as good as they get, to both be clever and be worthy adversaries for one another. And this helps me so much with that. So what I do is I outline generally 3 strategies for each scene partner. And as they move through the strategies, they will escalate their conflict. So for example, maybe scene partner A wants something from scene partner B, and she starts out with the very simple, very unescalated strategy of asking for it. Scene partner B, meanwhile, starts out just simply saying, no, I don't want to do that. Then scene partner A is going to have to move into her next strategy. She's going to perhaps try to bargain with scene partner B. She'll offer him something she knows he wants in order to get what she wants. And maybe scene partner B is then pushed into his second strategy, which is agreeing to the bargain but imposing a condition that she didn't anticipate and doesn't like. And then scene partner A is going to escalate to her third strategy, which is accepting his deal but secretly deciding to double cross him. So I don't always have 3 full strategies for each scene partner. Generally, whoever kind of wins the scene is going to get that last strategy, whether that's A or B. But it's really nice to kind of see where the characters will escalate towards. It helps me write the scene, and it helps me avoid getting trapped into places where the characters are arguing the same point back and forth too much. I like to know where they're going to go. Our next question is final note. And this is not a final note to myself. It is a final note for the scene. How do I want to end this scene in a way that ties up the chapter nicely and gets you excited about reading the next chapter? So I might choose to end a scene by sort of summing up what has happened, what has changed because this scene happened, and what are the implications going forward. Or I might choose to end the scene with kind of a mysterious, spooky note. Now, this is the question I am most likely to leave blank. Sometimes I will simply write my way to what feels like a solid ending for the scene, but it's useful to kind of think about this during the planning process and see if I can figure out exactly what I want to write toward. I admit that this is a lot of questions, and honestly, sometimes it intimidates me to try and answer each of them before I begin a scene. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I just want to write the scene where they fight. But in all honesty, when I take the time to do this, it always winds up saving me time and generating a better scene. So I hope that these questions will be of some use to you. Don't forget to download them by signing up for my newsletter below, and don't forget to check out Brittany's video on world building. Tech out.